on a dozer excavator?
Yeah. They had a big dozer-looking backhoe thing.
Apparently, if it just turns into
just dust. So, in order to move dirt from a spot to another spot, they had a big water truck and they were hosing water down so that the dirt would stay together to get from A to B, so it just wouldn't go poof as soon as they pick it up into the air.
That's insane.
You think they could just leaf blow?
I don't know. There's a lot of rocks too.
Oh, that makes sense.
A lot of rocks. So leaf would probably be leaf blower would probably be light, but a lot of F-35 still. Man, they don't get old.
No, I heard them on the phone with you.
Yeah,
I was like, damn,
it doesn't get old, bro. They right overhead.
Yeah,
there was a few times this week they were flying in formation. So there was the most I saw was 3 together, but just right there flying in formation, zooming around the old dust bowl that is Phoenix Glendale area. It doesn't get old. Those things are so cool, man.
Yeah,
they're so cool.
Yeah,
but feels good to be back here in Georgia with a hoodie on.
Yeah. And, ready and just instantly depressed.
What?
I'm sad.
Yeah, wow.
It's because it's death. It's just
really?
Everything's dying. Yeah, that's why it's turning color. It's dying. Everything's dying.
See,
it's getting cold. It's just letting you know that here comes the cold.
Fall.
Here
for
comes
me,
winter.
It harkens. Fall has been football weather.
Well, if we had
and
winters,
that's where we go live. Everything comes alive in the fall to me.
I'm not. No.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that at all. I wish I felt that.
Yeah,
I did.
wish you did too.
Everything just like for me, school started. Like everything's just dying. Summer's over.
Yeah.
If we had winters that killed us, this would be the beginning of. No, and you know what we do get? We get this really pretty fall.
We do.
It's so pretty.
Yep.
Immediately followed by dead leaves. Whatever. January. No, that's what happens.
You are. It's not
That's what happens. Bah humbug. How about that? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Already.
Bro, it's September.
I don't care. Bah humbug. Yeah.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, man. I don't like it when it gets cold. I like the summer. Okay.
It's not cold.
It's just the beginning. It's the inevitable coming. It's like because it's all sad right now. Every year it's football season, some kid gets hurt, like it gets negative. It's probably wrong time to
now you're making it negative.
Wrong time to bring that up, but it's it's sad. It's every year it's damn sad. Tell me
Not to me.
every
I don't
fall.
think so.
Nope.
I can make
making
out
it
so
sad.
look, it would be inappropriate to
You know why it's
make
not
these points
sad?
out.
Right? Because yes, the league guy
Dead.
springtime, we know they're going to come back.
Yeah, spring's way more.
No.
It's way awesome.
Spring doesn't happen without the fall, Kyle.
Yeah, I get it. No dark without the light.
Spring doesn't happen
get
without
it.
the fall.
But you know what's better? Spring and summer. You can do more. Sit in your house and read books next to the fire. Oh, congratulations.
That's what Penn does.
Penn does it with a monocle?
See,
Yeah.
you can do more in the fall than you can do in the summer.
Not true.
Yeah.
Not true, because all the things that you can do during the summer that you can't do during the fall, you can't do anymore. Like swimming. And
You can swim in the fall.
Oh, they start draining the lakes in October. October 1st, they drain Wadawi.
Does Wadawi count?
Yes. Wadawi's a whole industry at this point.
You know what lake they don't drain?
All those sad docks, what?
Lanier. Be afraid what you find.
Yeah, you can't
start draining Lanier.
Mm-mm. I bet they do to where, like, some degree.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yellow Jacket Creek down there in LaGrange.
Yeah, I've done some fishing in Yellow Jacket Creek.
There's
some fishing.
There's
Crappie.
one spot I pass by at a certain time of year every year, and it is, you can just see them hitting.
Yeah,
all by the bridge.
Yep, yeah, down there on the bridge, and if you go off Yellow Jacket Creek dock and you go back up into not towards the lake, but back up into the little finger there.
Mm-hmm.
You can get into some really good little spots back there.
Yeah. There's a bunch of little channels in there.
Yeah.
That when it's full, you can't see them.
Right.
But if you cast into them, yeah.
That's some.
Yeah, I've never caught them at the right time, because by the time, I could, it would be
fall.
They would drain it.
It'd be fall,
and it'd be sad again. All sad.
It's my favorite time of the year by far.
Really?
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's liking it. They get to do. I like bonfires. I like hoodies and shorts. I like
favorite outfit.
I like
favorite outfit.
Pumpkin spice lattes. I hate that all like summertime, man. You got like wifey's got like shorts and tan skin. Like everybody gets all pale and sad.
Not till late winter.
No.
Like nobody goes like pale just because fall happens.
All right, maybe not right away, but it's just like the precursor to the inevitable.
And it's a gradual paling of the skin, so you don't even really notice
it's a center then you just like, oh, you're withering away. Like that's
you're not
what
withering
happens.
away.
Yes, you are.
You don't wither away in the winter.
Yes. No, I fluff up. I have to survive. I have to start packing on the pounds just in case some shit goes down, because winter's gonna kill me. Never would have that problem during the summertime.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would just go find some water and chill the fuck out.
Have you tried Starbucks' new Apple Crisp chai latte?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it is so good. It's so good.
The fact that you rattled that off so well.
Yeah, it is so good.
Yeah. No.
Of course, I had to have it iced in Phoenix, but
that makes sense. That's weird.
it's good though. It's more. It's a dessert drink. It's not like a morning. Hot. Maybe it would be hot, but for me, it's like a afternoon. Had lunch and looking for something that'll pick me up.
Yep.
Back in, need a little caffeine. So Apple Crisp chai tea latte.
There you go. Yeah, well, it's still sad.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't.
All right, so look, all
agree.
bullshit aside, it seems like every year when it starts getting towards the end of the year, a bunch of fucked up shit starts happening. And I'm not trying to be funny and all that kind of stuff. It just seems like
you're right.
Every year. Now I don't know. I don't know if I can speak super general in that aspect, because.
But it does.
Yeah,
it
we have the university, so every time the school and all the population bumps again, like there's always some chaos out here, and then so I'm sure places like Albany and Athens and all that kind of experience the same thing, and then school's starting back every year the way that it does. Nothing. The way that I think people have a decent time or a glimpse into what life can be over the summer, and then they hit right into school.
But see, it's unrealistic.
What?
Summer is unrealistic.
Vacation life is unrealistic.
Summer is unrealistic.
Vacation life is unrealistic. That's not summer.
Summer is unrealistic.
Why?
Because summer is vacation life. That's summer. If summer, you think of trips to the beach.
No.
You think trips to the.
But that'd be the vacation side.
Yeah,
that's not all of it. Like people are
summer.
farming all through the summer, and then they harvest season is in the fall. There's work to be done.
What are we talking about? I am lost here. Seasons.
What? You want us to replay? What? How much?
No, I'm listening.
10 minutes, 40 seconds.
What?
How did you get lost?
Just text it to him.
Yeah.
And I'll write it down, and then
I will. Maybe
I think it's
read
because summer beats you down.
if we put it on that
Winter
little
beats you down.
rope that he's doodling with. Maybe.
I'm gonna take that fucking rope away from you.
Like my,
I think we could choke him with that rope.
Yes, I can hitman choke anybody with that.
That's exactly.
Just punch choke it.
Yeah.
So what?
I'm good, man. I'm just listening.
Well,
Apparently
you
not,
just
because you don't know what we're talking about.
No, you're not. B, you're not on that fucking mic to just be listening.
Well,
okay?
You're not just a pretty face, Jeffrey.
Well,
yeah,
that's true.
okay.
You're not just a pretty face.
We've gotten a long ways, just but it ain't gonna take
It's
us all
time
the
to
way
step
over.
it up.
You gotta have a fucking
Step it
personality in a couple years.
Yes. Yes.
That was such a John Candy move.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why he's saying, the point I'm trying to make is, well, I don't even know if I'm trying to make a point. I'm just throwing it against the wall. Did I fuck something up?
No. I was making sure I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't.
You AV.
I didn't, by the way.
You can't. Not after everything me and Jeff's done.
True.
I don't know. I'm just saying. It just seems like
It does.
Look, and I get what you mean, but like the vacation fantasy life is not a real thing. Like, if you want to move to the beach and that's where you want to live because you like the beach and all that, you better go like more than a few times and figure that out. Because it's not the vacation life that you're looking for.
Right.
Right. So you're looking for something and you need to fill in the blank. But I don't think it's just that, because a lot of these people love fall and Halloween and all this crap.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's something about when everybody goes from being separated back in, especially into the school system, something starts to happen.
Yeah,
even beforehand. And I don't know if I mean, hell, man, I'm not opposed to like it just being some sort of evil presence that starts popping around. And I'm not trying to be funny because I compare it to fall to being
no. But
I don't disagree.
Seriously,
with
that's probably what my grandmother would say.
Really?
Yeah.
So I have a whole thing on that too. That my generation and people that are younger than me right now are starting to say a lot of shit that old people used to say back in the day that we all were like, oh, blah, 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 old timer, like all that kind of stuff. Like evil and, doing the right thing. I mean, like, it just.
But I think we're so desensitized now to evil because just like this past week with this school shooting here in Georgia, had that happened 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it would have been a major, major ordeal. I'm not saying
it would have been Columbine.
I'm not saying it's not a major ordeal.
No.
But we are so desensitized, bad things.
Right. Well, you remember when Columbine happened, it was a nationwide, like it was a huge
shut
deal.
everything down.
I remember because I was in school. I was a young lad.
And it just, I don't know, man.
And it changed everything.
It's sad that we as a society have just become so just kind of like,
Well, it's that regular.
Yeah.
That it's that often that it's happened that it is. And I think, you're seeing pretty much the average response, but also, most people's interaction is just going to their phone.
Okay. But
true.
I think, I don't know that we're necessarily desensitized to evil, because the reaction that everybody gives initially is just as shock and awe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I think we have done is we've shortened our attention span so much
that we move on
quicker.
And maybe that's what I mean.
And news so fast.
Yeah.
And there's such a constant, steady push of news into our lives that we can only handle so much. Right? The multitasking is a myth. I don't know if you guys, it's been scientifically proven you cannot multitask.
You just move on to other shit.
You can transition quick and then you can transition back, which is what makes people think that you're multitasking really well. But really, you're just going from one thing to another and then back to that first thing really fast. You're just making those looks like in the brain. So it's not like I'm working on, all these other things. It's just I'm agile mentally to be able to.
So I can let something float while I handle this and then come back to it.
Yeah, I'm going to just pause that, and I'm going to go over here and handle this, and then I'm going to go handle this, and I'm going to come back to this.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do things.
And that's exactly. So it's not multi. But I think we have gotten, because of the the push of news so fast, nothing happens. Like it used to be, you would have to wait until the 5 o'clock news to find out what happened.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, or you'd have to hear about it from somebody to know to watch it. And if you miss it, you had to catch the next day and all that.
11 o'clock.
Now you're getting reactions and everything and responses to stuff that's seconds.
So it's instant. Like as soon as something happens,
it travels. Yeah.
Like you get breaking news updates on your phone. Like as soon as anything major happens, you get a breaking news update on your phone.
You know what's funny is I can remember as a kid going, for instance, like maybe you went on vacation with your family, you know, or I can remember my dad, my family, we were all in a hunting club, and we'd go down spend the whole weekend at this hunting club in South Georgia. No phones.
Yep.
No TV.
Yep.
No connection to the outside world.
Yep.
And when you get home, I literally can remember this, Mark, several times, walking in the living room after being gone somewhere. And it's like my mom telling my dad everything that had happened.
Like catching him up.
Yeah. And everything that had happened over the last few days. Did you hear that old, Bob Smith passed away Thursday?
Yeah.
Or it was all, you know what I'm saying? There was always this catch up.
It was gossip, but there was at least value to the gossip.
Well, maybe it wasn't even gossip. Maybe it was just.
Maybe gossip's the wrong word.
Yeah, it's just current.
Well, you know how women will get together and just talk.
But I'm saying, my point is now, like Mark said, everything is literally instant at the tip of your fingertips. There's nothing that you find out later. It's right now.
Yeah.
When really all that kind of stuff was happening all the time.
Absolutely.
You just didn't hear about it.
I think that's it.
There's a lot of it anyways. There has to be a lot of it.
I will tell you one thing I did recently, and I was kind of late to the game, and that's why, the school shooting thing, I do want to talk about that, mainly because I want to know a little bit about it, because here's the thing. Like, I deactivated my Facebook account, right? Completely deactivated. Not permanently, but just taking a break. Right, just wanted to disconnect from it. Logged out of Instagram, just got off of it. Just felt like I was spending too much time on it, and I've done that now for about maybe a week. And it's actually kind of nice, And it's funny because I've had people say stuff, and I'll hear stuff in conversation, and I'm like, didn't know anything about that. Didn't know anything about that. Prime example was Friday night. A week ago, the young kid, the Bremen quarterback, got really hurt, which I understand. I think they're getting some pretty good reports on him.
He's making progress.
Yeah. Okay. Terrible situation. Hell, I didn't even know about it till Sunday afternoon. Didn't know a thing about it.
Right.
It's all over social media, and I didn't know a thing about it.
Well, it's people's 5 o'clock news now. That's how people get their information.
A lot of it.
That's why when you do it irresponsibly, like it's shitty information,
man. It is. Social media is for sure. I do believe that.
No, I agree, and so the school shooting this past week in Winder was it was tragic. Like all of them are. They're all tragic
for sure. And so people know, like Winder's about 2 hours east of us.
Yeah.
We're on the Alabama side of Georgia. That'd be closer, heading towards like North Carolina side to us.
Yeah.
So, but still, I don't know if it's super rural. Like it's suburban. Yeah. Like a lot of the in the red clay stories and stuff were from out there. So they've got they've definitely got some country, out in the middle of nothing type stuff. But
it was a big school, 1,900 kids.
Do we know? Do they said who this kid is? Like,
yeah, it's well known who he is. So they did arrest him. They have charged him. They've also there's a few things.
Like, is he a big kid?
No, normal kid, long hair, dyed red, blonde, like strawberry blonde, weird.
Any motive?
No. Not that they've released, but there's some weird stuff that has came. So he's comes from a very troubled family.
What defines troubled?
Felon mom,
Okay.
Just poor, seemed like, a lot of poor decisions, poor parenting decisions, just nothing, just trouble.
The system.
He's went during all that either. I don't know if she's went to jail and he stayed with dad, or if he's, I don't know how all that dynamic has went, but there was Fox News actually did a local piece about his family, and all the trouble that she had been in, that his mom had been in before, and just in and out of trouble a lot. They actually arrested his dad and charged him.
Really?
Because he purchased.
So apparently, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, this kid was investigated by the FBI for making threats against the school. And at the time, determined that he wasn't a threat because there was no weapons available to him, my understanding.
I thought they said that he had deer rifles, hunting rifles.
Yeah.
They were locked up.
Yeah.
And,
yes. Yeah. No availability of weapons was
right.
the
So
was
he just
the determination.
doesn't just have a gun, and he's like,
yeah,
I have a gun and I want to do this.
Right. So it was more like, I'm going to shoot school up. But then they talked to him, and they interviewed him, talked to the family, they made trips to the house.
Well, I mean, and how many of these do they probably do?
Absolutely,
all the time.
And it's you go through the steps.
Sadly enough,
and I'm not crapping on the FBI. I don't know what else they could have done.
No, but it's regardless, it is a pattern.
Absolutely.
Like you hear this all the time. It's like, and then it
what
goes
do you
in.
do though?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying it's. I'm not making an argument for it. I'm just saying
we still have the presumption of innocence.
That's right.
You can't just assume someone's guilty.
But it is the reoccurring theme, like all the time. Like,
absolutely.
And I don't know what the answer would be, but it seems to always be the case.
You're exactly right.
They talk about politicians, saying don't let any, don't let a tragedy go to waste. They want to use it for a platform.
Jumping the fuck all over that.
And I just, I'm not going to say anything here that's profound that somebody hadn't, or thinks, but I just have such an issue with the concept of using this as a platform for gun violence
or pushing any agenda.
And the point is, and I've said this for years, guns have been around for a long, long, long time. It is not the gun itself. It is a mental illness. It is a decay in our society. It is a absolute decline in moral responsibility. It's a decline in character. It's a decline in parenting. It's a decline in people's relationships with God. It's a decline in our discipline. It's a decline in respect for authority. It is all these things. It is a watered down decline in our society. We talked about it last time. It's biblical, right? It is. This country is turning further and further and further and further away from the values and the core values that it was built upon. And you see it in every generation. You see people get further away. You see less respect for authority. You see this apathy towards other people. And none of that has anything to do with an actual AR-style gun. Nothing. Has nothing to do with any of that. I've heard my dad, my stepdad, I've heard those guys talk about getting a new .22 rifle for their birthday or for Christmas and taking it to school.
Oh, yeah.
To show their friends. It's not a big deal.
No, even
ride with it in the truck.
Hey, Coach,
when I was in high school, just as recently as the late 1990s, I grew up, went to high school in West Virginia, which does matter, but there was still kids that would have their deer rifle on a rack in the back window of their truck.
Yeah.
And they rode around, they made them like that.
Right.
Like, look it up. Go look up. They made
gun racks
for the back windows of trucks, and you put your deer rifle or your hunting rifle or your shotgun in the rack on the back of the truck.
That's right.
And I think
what was the weapon?
It was an AR.
Was it?
Yeah, but it was an AR. But the dad bought it for the son after the FBI investigated him.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
That ain't good.
Which is why, for the first time, my understanding, the first time ever, they have arrested and charged the parent. In a school shooting.
Did they charge him with murder?
Charged him 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, murder in second degree, 2 counts of
the father.
The father, yeah, the father. The son has been charged as well, but the father was charged with accessory, basically, to 2 of the counts of.
Well, it's irresponsible at minimum.
Then 20 counts of some aggravated assault.
Well, because of some
shootings.
fucking idiot like that, now it sets case study and opens the door for
parents to be responsible for anything.
I guess maybe it's not a terrible thing. I don't know. But
I don't know. I don't know that I'm totally opposed to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I am either.
I do feel like that.
I think this guy's definitely justified.
Like so, if this is your
just from that information alone,
if this is your baseline, absolutely. Like if this is what it takes, and if a parent does something like where your son has made threats against the school recently, was investigated, you're well aware of this whole process, and then you purchase for him who's not 18, who's 14, I think.
14 or 15. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a kid, man.
Jesus.
And you purchase a weapon like that for him. It's irresponsible.
Yeah, it's not.
It's irresponsible.
I mean, even semi-automatic. It's not a bolt action
22
rifle.
It's not a shot.
It's not something to get good on.
It's not a 20 gauge.
No.
It's not. Oh, it's they have no. He has no business at 14 for. In this situation,
yeah.
That to have access to, like, my kids didn't have access to their guns, like access that where they kept them in a safe and none of that until they were 18. When they were 18, then they got their shotguns, they got their rifles.
But Mark, here's the difference. All right, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but that right there, what you're saying shouldn't even matter, right? Because even if your boys had access to their guns, you raised them in a different way. It was they.
No, but
the problem here.
That's the rule, though. The rule is they don't have access.
I understand,
and they shouldn't unsupervised access. I don't think any gun owner, any Second Amendment person would have a problem with kids not having access to firearms. Ready access to firearms.
Both my girls got, and everything stayed up in my.
What's going to stop this kid from walking in there with a knife and just stabbing?
Well,
people?
That's the other thing too.
What's going to stop him from
doesn't
just grabbing his mama's car and going running through the parking lot?
Yeah.
You can't. The problem with our society and the FBI and everything else, and this is what they haven't figured out, and there's no way to do this, is that you cannot legislate morality. You cannot make a law that makes somebody not want to be mean and crazy and stupid. You can't do that. It's unpredictable, right? There's no way to do. You can try these FBI lists. You can try to put people on a watch list. You can try to make sure, that if you see something, say something. But there's too many people and there's too many avenues. People are going to slip through the cracks. There's no way to stop that. There's no way to regulate that. And people say, so I understand the other side. They go, well, then let's take away the access. Let's take away the access to violence.
Won't stop.
You can't do that.
Won't stop.
You can't do that.
You can't take away everything.
Right?
You can't take away every way someone can be violent.
No,
there's a bunch of different things. You can buy enough stuff at hardware stores to make a bomb.
Absolutely. Make that right there a weapon. I promise you.
A Vietnam. I don't know if we can say bomb, but bomb. There are absolutely a bunch of ways to do that. So really, the question becomes, what do the parents do now? All that may be true, but as far as parents that are sending their kids to school now, so that doesn't make any of them feel better. No. Everybody just they're rolling the dice sending their kid to school just to get an education. So does this speak also to overhaul the school system.
Well, so I think there's
like
so
to get us to where.
So did you hear how
we can minimize
this gunman
this.
was stopped?
Oh, no,
okay.
I haven't.
I want to know how the hell he got in a school in the first place with it.
You just walked in because regardless of what you think, you're a student. You just walk in.
Yeah,
you just walk in.
Yeah,
there's
any kid
ways
could do
to
that.
walk in.
They could do that at Mount Zion, Carrollton. Any kid could have a gun in his book bag and walk in.
Yeah.
Any kid could have a bomb in his book bag and walk in.
Yes,
unless you're going to have metal detectors and armed security at everywhere.
Okay, so how the kid was stopped was the school resource officer on school premises with a gun drew down on him. And
he just laid it down, right?
You mean he didn't go running up?
No.
Oh,
as soon as he drew down on him,
I applaud you, sir.
The kid dropped a gun and laid down on the floor, and he arrested him. Now, I bring that up because 2 weeks ago, and not to politicize any of it, but it bears mentioning that 2 weeks ago, Kamala Harris, in one of her campaign stops, called for the removal of all school resource officers from schools.
Wow.
2 weeks ago. Said we need to demilitarize schools. And take all guns out of schools, which is ridiculous. I'm not for that.
Put more in there.
No, I say there's a bunch of veterans out there that would love some work.
Sure.
Hire them.
Make them sheriff's deputies.
Yeah, make them a resource. Yeah,
make them
have them deputized.
Yep.
Yeah, make them go through a process, vet them, do all the stuff you would imagine you would need to
for a police officer, right? Because they go through psych analysis.
Let's not just take anybody off the street because we wouldn't do that anyways.
Yeah, let's not act like that school resource officers are a wild card or cops are a wild card, because they're not.
No, I know 3 personally.
Yes,
that are awesome human beings.
Yes. And so school resource officers, my experience with school resource officers now, and we know one very, very close to us who's now a sergeant with the school resource. Actually, 2 sergeants.
Yes. Yeah.
2 sergeants.
Christmas went up. Yeah.
Christmas is now a sergeant. And I have seen the interactions that those kids and it's overwhelmingly positive.
Sure.
For sure.
Overwhelmingly
love
positive.
them.
Sure.
Love them.
And look,
I've heard my daughter talk about the ones in Bremen. They love him.
Absolutely. The one in Mount Zion, Officer Pike.
And those guys, you
love him.
I've known guys that you got to have a pretty good personality to be able to sit up there and interact with a bunch of high schoolers all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I can do your job.
Carrollton has them in every city school.
Would you say I couldn't do your job?
No, I couldn't do your job.
Can you imagine it was a school resource?
That'd be hilarious.
About that for a minute,
I barely do the kids classes anymore, buddy. Like kids would be doing burpees left and right. I don't know what we'd have to do. It'd be terrible.
I think
I'd get rid of for cussing
all the county schools in the county have school resource in Carroll County. I know Mount Zion does, but if school is in the city limits, it falls to the city. So Mount Zion Middle School is in Mount Zion city limits. They have a Mount Zion City police officer as a school resource officer. I just recently come to find out that Bowden High School does not have a school resource officer. This over the last couple of days.
Weird move.
Because it's inside city limits, and Bowden doesn't want to pay for it. They don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
So they have a community right now that is in an uproar of why isn't there a school resource officer in our school?
Well, did you see the Bay Springs stuff today?
Yeah. So I have 2 nieces that go to Bay Springs.
Really?
See, I don't know.
Some rumor. I don't know
this
exactly. All they put online was like there was a rumor. They investigated it, and you had parents at the door checking.
This is what
out.
happens every time there is something like this.
Right.
Is you have the kids and that will do anything for it, and that will start the rumors, right? That so-and-so's got a gun. I heard that he's got
because
they locked one kid up in Gainesville for that crap.
Yeah. So this happens every time there's a school shooting. You have those kids that are a subsect that do the shooting. These are kids that need attention and need love too, and have bad those are the kids that do this too. And then you have another subsect that one that says it, one that pushes it, and then you have a whole nother group that there's some pictures going around social media because kids are stupid, and they have Snapchat and all these other social media things where they think there's no recourse for anything that they put on these things. So there's been kids that have taken a picture of an AR, whether it's in their house or not, that you can get a picture of an AR on the internet, and they post it like, this school better watch out, and they put it on their story, or they send it to a friend, even as a joke, and it gets screenshot and resent and screenshot and resent and screenshot and resent, and before you know it, you have, like Bay Springs, parents not sending their kid to school because of a rumor. But it's so real to them. Now, I think it's just happened, right? And 2 hours away from us this week.
Right.
So on Tuesday, right? So 3 days ago from Friday, it just happened. So parents are on edge.
For sure.
Everything's...
I guarantee you every mother out there worries about this exact thing, whether it's happening or not, and a million other things that probably won't ever happen.
But when it's right on the front of their mind.
Yeah, dude. Every school year when it starts, they all, like, every mother is freaking out over anything.
And over
Tornadoes,
and over
school shoot, everything.
Everything.
Yeah, and I've thought about that. Like, I realize that in the moment, as a parent, there's really nothing you can do in the moment.
There's not.
You can't.
No, you
can't get there fast enough.
You're rolling the dice, and you're trusting the school system to keep your kids safe. Scary as shit.
Yeah.
That is scary as all get out.
I think about, like, if that happened at Bremen High School, I don't want to tell you, like, what goes through my mind, of what I would want to do.
But but you can do.
But there's nothing you can do.
I'm, if I'm 2 hours away and I get a notification,
it don't matter
or
if
I
I'm
find
5
out,
minutes away. They're not going to let you in. They're not gonna, it's not like you can go run up in there and do something. I mean, they're going to be swarming on it. I get it. It's just a helpless feeling. As a parent, I can't imagine the parents of those 1,900 kids, wondering, is that my kid?
There's some tragic texts that have been released from kids in the school while it's happening, texting their parents.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
What are we doing, man? Like, I mean, look, if we can't solve it on one end, as far as deterrence and an operating system go, what can we do there? Like,
is it not? It has to be school resource officer. It has to be.
When you take this, school resource officer, and you take all the other elements into it, is it not, and more than one problem on each front, is it not where we look at the school system model and look at overhauling the whole thing? I mean, how many kids are I mean, at what point are we not failing some of these kids?
Okay,
I understand you can't control when they're not at the school. You can't control their home life.
Do you go as far at schools to implementing something that resembles, I'm not saying it has to be exact, but do you go as far as putting something in place that resembles a TSA line?
You can't.
A TSA. Oh, like in the hospital, in the
like
airports.
Stuff gets through there too.
Well, I understand.
It does, but I don't want to. If I'm and look, I'm
just throwing it out there.
I'm kind of biased. I'm biased right now.
Doesn't work. Yeah.
I'm biased right now. Like this year, we made the move to put Dominic through homeschool. Right. But had he not been, or if I back up when my girls were in school, damn, dude, I gotta, like, there's a reason why I didn't live in certain areas as it is. I gotta put them through metal detectors and all that for an education. Is there not a better way to get an education, or are we doing all this for high school experience? The prom and the football games, the baseball games, and the fucking debate club and the like. Can we not educate our population a different way without this? I get it, and the high school experience is awesome.
And it's middle school too. I mean,
the school experience, from middle school, 6 and up,
Yeah.
right? 6 to 12, right?
Sure.
It's a whole experience that is very profound and usually stamps on like imprints on a kid's life forever, you know, and it really sets their tone for going into adulthood. Like, so if there's a bigger meaning, then should we be taking a different route? Or is there not a better way to just educate our kids than having to, like, it's gotten so bad that we have to have armed military and TSA and all this other stuff to be able, like, they got to go to prison every day to be able to go get an education.
But see, that
is what school's for. It's supposed to prep everybody for society and education. Now, aside from, and I don't want to get too conspiracy theory about it, but it's also like, you know, you're pumping out more worker bees for the industrial life, and you know, it's all that too. Like, so it really comes down to, like, what are we doing? What are we doing with the education system? What are we doing with this whole process?
I do think that the education system needs overhauled. I think that's absolutely true.
Is it worth little Sarah being a cheerleader and getting her pictures and everything? Like, is it like?
But
is all this really worth it?
So think about, though, the kids, though, Kyle, that are saved through those things.
Yes, yeah.
Like, there's another side of that too.
There is,
and there's another side. All those sports, all those athletics, all those band kids,
right,
that wouldn't have a social group had it not been for band, had it not been for football or basketball or cheerleading or debate club or whatever.
Sure.
That wouldn't have those and wouldn't have the learning experiences that come with it, the failure. Now, I think that we
don't teach them. I'm not saying don't have those things,
right?
And I'm not saying,
I think all those things
don't have programs. I'm not saying that.
Exponentially harder if you take public schools out of the equation.
And I don't know if that's like, no. I don't, but I mean, I'm not. You should put it in the parents' hands to be able to, like, educate them and all that. I'm not saying that at all.
Most 95% of the parents aren't capable of doing that.
You get very little. Involvement with most parents, anyways.
That's
like,
exactly right.
You're not getting much out of them.
No. So I think there is a balance point there, and I really do feel like school resource officers are the answer. It's answer number one in a very multiple pointed answer.
I guess conceptually, I'm saying, are we focused on the wrong stuff?
I agree.
Like, are we so focused on prom?
But this is where I think
we're so focused on football games.
You have to attack it in a bunch of different avenues at the same time. That for now, it's just like you have anything that's a problem. You attack one way to remove the threat and to diminish the threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many school resources that school had. Mm-hmm. If it was just one,
most of them is just like
most of them is just one
buddy.
Most of it's just one. I think Carrollton City is just one.
Yeah,
Carrollton High School is about the same size as this school. You know, it's 1,800 kids. It's about the same size as that school in Winder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there needs to be, and that's the minimum, the very minimum you can do. I guess the minimum is 0, but is 1. And I think there needs to be, you know, whether it's a per capita, whether it's a coverage, just like you have cops in a city, right? Based on the city size, you have more cops. They have more ground to cover. They have more territory. They have more calls. Bigger schools need to have more school resource officers.
I would agree.
And those school resource officers, and that's the misconception is that some people try to paint them as, it's just military or
Nazis.
The prison guards or whatever. And they're not, though. That's not the reality of it.
No. Well, and the ones that aren't, that's not SOP.
No,
like that's not
right.
what
it's
should
not,
be
it's
there.
It's not standard.
No, that should reflect like the old school beat cop. That knows every kid.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be on this kid. And it's going to lean into that kid and high five that kid.
It's a coach in a uniform.
For
is
sure.
All it is.
It's
basically
absolutely
a life coach.
I can get behind that.
In a uniform. And that I think is a big piece of it. And that also helps.
So it boils down to kind of what Jeff said, like values.
Yeah.
And which is like within those walls, the communities are involved,
but I think that's a huge piece, even in teaching kids a respect for law enforcement, which I think is something that's missing right now.
I'm gonna tell you what, boys.
The more they get, the more interactions they get with positive interactions with law enforcement, the more their mindset is going to change, so that then when they get older, they don't have this just total negative mindset about law enforcement.
I know guys that have a better relationship with, that have a good relationship with cops now, more than people that ain't never had no trouble with cops at all. They're fuck the police, fuck 12 and all that. Like, you ain't even committed a crime your whole life. You never met a cop.
No.
You know, whereas some of these, like in the worst situations ever, somebody reached out to them that was on the other side and gave them a helping hand.
I want to give you an example. Jordan was at church a few weeks ago, and somebody came up to him and said, "Hey, you remember me?" And Jordan's like, "No, I don't think so." He said, "You arrested me 2 months."
Wow.
And he said, as we were going to the jail, you took me to jail. And he said, "You told me to not let this define me and to move forward, and there's going to be consequences. It's going to be tough, but to keep your head up and do the right thing, and you'd come out of this." And he said, "I needed to hear that night." And he shook his hand and he thanked him.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Just that.
Just that.
Just that. Yep.
That's what you need.
And you don't convey that unless you're on a certain,
Absolutely.
like you're on a certain path.
Yep.
You're on a certain path. Probably locked in driving to the station to drop this guy off. It's like, hey man, you gotta, don't let this define you. Don't,
he said,
get your shit together, buddy.
I asked Jordan, I said, tell me about that interaction. And he said he remembers this guy. They were riding to the jail, and the guy said, "This is bad, ain't it?" And George said, "I'm not gonna lie to you. You're in some trouble, but don't let this define you."
Yeah, it ain't the end of your world. It's not the end of your book, buddy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Keep your head on straight. Do what you need to do.
I don't want to be like, and I hate to be like you can play the sad music if you want to. I don't want to be I don't want to be negative,
no,
but
you can't. You can't do it now.
I just don't think that we're going to see this get better. I don't think you're going to see a uptick in our society. I don't think you're going to see an uptick.
Not even if it gets worse?
I think you're going to see it get worse and worse and worse as far as a...
You don't think people come together if it gets bad enough?
Maybe for a little bit, just like they did after 9/11. And then guess what? As soon as it got far enough out of their memory, everybody went back to being racist and separated and segregated and everything else. But guess what? On September the 12th, people didn't see color. People didn't see socioeconomic status. People didn't see religious differences. You were an American. We loved you, and we felt united. Fast forward 5 years. Now that it's far enough out of our memories, we're right back to our old habits. And I just don't. I think that we as a society suck.
See,
and I'm not trying to be like. I don't have a lot of faith in humanity. I really don't. Maybe that's just me. I mean.
See, I think different. I see different. I think different.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome that you think that. You asked if it was bad, motherfucker, so I'm answering you that it's great.
No, I think.
What do you want me to answer you?
I think you're right, Jeff.
You asked if it was bad.
But I think
it's saying, like,
I think that's how you truly feel.
Yeah.
Like, so that's fine. You have an honest assessment.
The pendulum is always swinging. It always is, whether you think it or not. Your perspective of the pendulum changes based on where you're at in your life. And after 9/11, the pendulum swung way back the other way. I mean, further than it had been since, maybe some of the world wars that had, like, in our lifetime. It's way American, pro-American.
I agree.
Well, after World War II, you had
but I think
60s, 70s,
but I think it's important. That's unrealistic too. It's unrealistic. You're never utopian. Everybody gets along.
Right.
It's not.
It's like we talked about at the top of the podcast. You're going to have night and day. You're going to have good and bad.
But you also didn't have the massive. You didn't have these school in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Not like this.
So you did.
No, you didn't.
You also didn't have the population that you have today. You didn't have the big schools. You didn't. There weren't 2,000 student. There weren't 45 schools in Georgia in the 40s that were 1,500 students plus. Carrollton 20 years ago had 700 kids in it.
Well, the only
500
way
kids.
the only way you get to
And
those
it was
numbers,
still big.
the only way you get to those numbers are for it to be very diverse and different types of people from different places and different backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. So then when you start mingling and mixing and all this other, and you throw in social media, you throw in technology, you throw in all the different aspects. Yeah.
And that's the thing. There is no one answer to all this. There is none. There is not one answer.
Jesus.
Even that, I think, is more complicated than just saying Jesus. It's more complicated. There's principles and precepts in all this.
Well, there's been periods in time where Jesus was very profound and there was lots of killing.
Yeah, that transcends religion. Yeah, there's been more people killed in the name of Jesus than there is any other thing.
In any war.
Absolutely. So it's not just and see, I think all those things are cop-outs when you try to say it's just one thing. It's more than that. It's a very super complex problem in our society that we have to not be afraid to talk about. Like everything.
No.
We can't be afraid to talk about it. And two, we can't
like homos.
We can't just like Jeff. We can't just say, well, there's no use in dealing with it because it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. I don't think you can do that either. And I think that's...
Well, no, hope is like the...
I don't think you can ignore it. I'm not saying that. Just...
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even to have hope.
Just
is hope a waste of time?
Sure, certainly not.
Well, then at least to be
but
hopeful.
I mean, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm getting at. But,
let's rewind that.
But do I think you're going to have some? Do I really think this is ever going to go away? No, I don't.
I'm not making the argument that all of a sudden that some
because
Iron Man shows up, gives us. Like,
you're never going. It all goes in society that humans are humans, and
there's always been sin.
Yeah, it's never went away.
There's always been sin.
I understand. That's what I'm saying, and it's not going to change. I do think it's gotten worse over time. I mean, it has.
It's gotten worse for us.
I don't know.
Well, tell me where. Tell me in areas of the world. I'm not.
There's areas of the world that didn't have schools to.
Where has it gotten better? Where has society
better?
Well,
in a lot of aspects, it's still the greatest time to be alive.
It is.
I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm trying to keep
better.
up with. Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
That's what I'm saying. Define better, and better in what aspect? Inside of school shootings?
Crime.
Well, school shootings is a very new thing.
I need to move it back.
No, I got it. I can adjust it.
My bad.
Wait, you can rotate them?
Scratching my foot.
I can pull it a little bit.
But like better in what aspect? Like as far as in school shootings or mass shootings, you could probably generalize it that way too.
Well, I just meant like violence.
Well, there's many times in history where it's been way more violent. I mean, there's not kids getting killed in the street
But
right
listen,
now.
there wasn't
Not
Fox
like that.
News.
I mean, there is, but there
wasn't Fox News in the Wild West.
That's true.
There wasn't Twitter when.
Well, go to Africa. Go in the Congo over the past 3 decades.
Yeah, there wasn't Twitter when the Asian immigrants were coming over into California and they were just getting slaughtered. Mm-hmm. And forced to work on railroads and forced in. There wasn't that then.
Well, and there wasn't coverage when Genghis Khan changed the carbon footprint for the amount of people that he killed.
Correct.
Like he changed the carbon footprint on the planet because of how many people he took out.
There wasn't there hasn't been the type of spotlight on it. It's always been there.
Yeah.
And so I do think, though, that we as humanity have gotten better.
And this is just a modern version of that. Like
I think, and you saw this in
shootings and whatnot.
And to take it to a biblical standpoint and to give you a frame of reference.
I do have a biblical question.
Okay. So there was through the Old Testament.
I've been going to church.
Through the Old Testament, there is a there's a phrase that is used. It's and then there came another generation that rose up and knew not God and followed not. And it's this ebb and flow through the Old Testament of generations that have a relationship with God and another generation that doesn't, and another generation that does, and another generation that doesn't.
See, I think my generation not, and as my generation has gotten older, a lot of people lean back.
It's an ebb and flow in humanity. It's always been there, always. Now, it looks different. That's why you can't pinpoint it and say this is exactly like this or this is, and those ebbs and sometimes in the Old Testament, it reads multiple generations, and it says, and then came another generation that knew not God and followed not after him. And so it's multiple generations of down.
So you're talking 100 years of down.
Right. And then you get this, you come back, and then there comes a prophet and a teacher, and a leader came and led people back to a belief in God and an understanding. It's this huge ebb and flow.
So I don't want to cut you off, but to connect that to the quickness of reaction. So the limited, the sped up time frame of reactions.
Yep.
Do you think we're hitting that quicker and quicker?
Maybe. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
how I mean, back in 1800 BC or whatever, I don't know the exact, it just sounds good. But back then, it would take longer for two generations to not find God before they can be connected into people. And right now, everybody's connected.
And the community and pulling communities together.
Everything is speeding up.
Everything. Everything speeds up. We talked briefly at the very beginning of the podcast about the football player that was injured. You have seen such an outpouring of support for Carson. I think is what his name is. Carson or Colton? I can't. Carson. Kimball.
Yes.
Carson Kimball.
Kimbrell.
Such an outpouring for support that 30 years ago would not have been possible because no one would even know about it.
Right. Not as quickly, anyway.
Not as quickly.
Not within a few days.
So
not within a week.
So tonight, there are every Mount Zion football player has a blue number 7 on the back of their helmet.
Beautiful.
Wow,
beautiful.
That gives me chills.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thursday.
That's what I'm talking about. Community right there.
Thursday
that ought
night,
to give us hope.
Thursday night, Bowden was playing in Macon, and the entire team walked out on the field at the front of instead of running through the banner like they always do, the entire team was linked in arm carrying a number 7 jersey in front of them. That's what I'm talking about. So it's easy to be pessimistic and say it's so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. But you're looking past all the good that does happen.
I do agree with you on that.
And then evil
I do agree
wins.
with that.
Yes.
And then evil wins.
And when you say that it's never going to be better, when you say that there's no hope, when you say that people need to, this is just blah, 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 blah.
That's not how you sound.
Is that what I sound
That's not how you sound.
Not you.
It sounded a little bit like you. I kind of felt like you were attacking me.
You would be. Do that.
Okay. I don't think you sound like any of those.
All right.
No, you don't sound like that.
Now I feel better.
So you're not taking those super negative stances on society. Say, oh, about the support that they've got. Kirby Smart did a video to this kid.
Very nice.
He didn't have to do that. I don't even know if the kid's a Georgia Bulldog fan.
That's all right.
But Kirby Smart, who's
he is now.
I am more a fan of Kirby Smart.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
Whether I like the Bulldogs or not.
It just speaks to even if I don't like him, I sure should respect him.
No, because that's what you. And so without all the tools that we have. Social media, say, hey Carson, keep fighting, buddy. We believe on you. Go
and that's
Dogs.
the fight right there. That's the fight. Because if you do fall into all the negative and that this is never better, then evil does win. Which brings me to my question.
Yep.
which is beautiful. Not my question, just how we got there. All right, so speaking of, I don't know how to like navigate the biblical conversation for as far as like evil or the devil or the devil's influence and things like that, right? So my question is it better, or I don't know if even better is the right word, but is it better, I guess is the only way I'm going to be able to put it off, but is it better that you stay defensive against evil or that you're proactively attacking against evil? Like, is there scripture there that speaks to that?
Absolutely.
Is there?
Ephesians.
So are you supposed to,
is it Ephesians 5?
Are you supposed to actively attack against evil? Like, I don't mean like physically always attack, but just be on the offensive. So, or is it always just shield yourself? Because are you entertaining?
Yeah.
Are you entertaining evil by like, so, it's kind of like the Batman thing. Do you stay the hero long enough to become the villain?
No.
By proactively attacking against evil or pushing back against.
But in the book of Ephesians,
and I haven't read a damn I've read very, very little Bible.
But I think it's you brought that up. So there's a passage in the Bible where Paul is writing the church at Ephesus, and the book's called Ephesians.
Not like Rootville, but like,
well, same spelling probably, but
yeah.
And he's talking about putting on the armor of God, right? Mm-hmm. He talks about and Mark, is that what you're pulling up?
Yeah, part of it. It may not be exactly what you're.
We're talking about the breastplate and all that, the shield and the sword and all that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So
go ahead. I'm gonna let you take that one.
So Ephesians 6 starts off talking about, ironically enough, family relationships. Okay, children obeying your parents.
Listen, this is good.
Honor your mother. And if you do that, it's going to be well with you, and you'll live long on the earth. Fathers, not to provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in nurture and admonition of the Lord. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of heart as unto Christ. So basically, if you're going to do something, if you're serving someone, serve them just like you were serving Christ. Be a good employee. Be a good person. Right? Not eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart. So not just to be seen, but do it from the heart. Do it for the right reasons.
Have some integrity.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
With good will, doing service as to the Lord. So, and it goes on to say, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether he's bond or free. So it doesn't matter where you're at in life. If you do the right thing, God's going to repay you with right.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yep.
It's
do the right thing.
Yeah, how you write the end of the story. Yeah.
And then so not only does it talk about servants, but then it goes and it says, and you masters, so you leaders, or you even, and then you're masters of slaves is the context here. Do the same thing unto them, forbearing threatening. So don't just threaten them, don't beat them, knowing that your master is also in heaven. And neither is there respect of persons for him. So it's saying that God doesn't respect you as a master over that slave or over that subordinate, right?
Or a leader over a subordinate.
Absolutely.
Right.
God is no respecter of persons. He looks at everyone exactly the same.
Right.
So then it goes into kind of what I think your question is. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and power in his might. Whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So basically, in this, it is saying that there are always going to be an enemy out there. There's always going to be something that is bad. Put on the whole armor, and this will be my tap out. I know we're a little long tonight or today. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in the high places. And this is where I think a lot of people today get mixed up, is they think they're wrestling against flesh and blood. They think it's Republican versus Democrat. They think it's white
me
versus
against
black.
my brother.
It's this versus this. It's they think it's actual person versus person. But what the Bible is saying here, but that's not what we're wrestling. So that shouldn't be what we gear up to fight. We're not fighting a person. We're fighting evil. We're fighting darkness. And he said, we are rulers of darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places. So in important places, we're fighting against spiritual wickedness. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in that day, having done all to stand. So there's a few parts of this. So this is saying that there may come a time where you may not be able to fight. If you can't fight, just stand. Just stand for what's right. Just stand for truth. If you can't fight, just stand. Because there's going to be a time where times come, and again, I feel like it's cyclical. Okay, I feel like it's ups and downs. It always has been through Scripture, even through Old Testament Scripture. It's always been ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So I don't feel like this is a one-time down, end of the world thing.
Right.
It's ups and downs. There's going to be times when you, Kyle, aren't strong enough to fight, but you've got to be strong enough to stand. So he says...
That speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
Because you don't even have to be... Like, I immediately take that in as like, okay, when I'm too old or injured or can't stand, too sickly, whatever. But that's not the case. It's my army against their... Well, then I can't fight you, but I can stand.
You can stand.
Yeah.
And
I can stand against
last a lot longer.
I can endure.
Just as in defense than you can trying to take an attack to somebody. Right? When you attack, you make yourself vulnerable, right? For a counterattack.
Right.
It's standard practice in everything.
Right.
That's what makes the Bible so beautiful.
It's the Leonidas. It's the 300. You bring him into the hot gates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you draw them in.
And they can't fight against. So then it goes on, and it says, girding about with truth. So it starts telling you
to have some balls. Is that what that means?
Yes.
Does that mean have some balls?
Cover yourself.
Fucking right, baby.
With truth. And it's telling you what's going to help you.
He goes into what's
going to help you stand.
My bicep just tore off of that.
What's going to help you fight, and what's going to help you do this. So you have to have your loins girded about with truth. And this is all, this isn't natural, but God always uses natural things to help you have a better understanding of what he's talking about. So you're going to need truth to stand. So truth matters.
Yes.
What is right, and this is what we're losing a lot in today's culture with just that rush of being first. We're losing the truth in it to just be first.
Yeah, because if you're standing on a weak foundation that's not built off of truth and right and wrong, and
So he said, having your loins girded about with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness, your chest and your heart should be righteousness. You should be doing things for the right reason. You should have a morality about you. And it says, have your feet shod. So it goes from loins to chest to feet, all the way down to your feet, shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. And it goes on, it says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So faith, whether we want to or not, faith is what keeps us in moments where we can't necessarily fight. It will shield us. We've got to hold on to faith and to trust and a belief in something better for us, that we can make it through. That's going to protect us so that we can make it through this volley of arrows that's coming our way.
Absolutely.
So
and seeing's
that's
not
why when
believing.
you asked, so going back to your original question of, do you actively defend? I think is how you said it. Against evil.
Yeah. Are you actively attacking, or are you more or less just defending?
You really ought to read that, and it is so good. I mean, because
I got chills just off of that.
That's
that's
he
profound.
literally there. It was funny because when you asked that, I thought, there is a whole chapter that absolutely exactly answers that.
Mm-hmm. And just to be for people listening, like I've read very, very little outside of your generic stuff that they tell you to look up. Like very little I've read of the Bible. I go off of literally what speaks to me.
I understand.
And that's been my question. That was my question last year with a lot of tragedy last year. That's my question this year is like,
so
and as far as faith makes sense because faith is a huge, seeing's not believing. Like you don't have to see it. You don't have to know that that's what you need. And I'll tap out with this. Like you don't have to be able to envision it to have faith. You may not know what it looks like at all. And believe whatever God you want to believe. I'm not super religious over here. So if I'm saying it, fucking, you might want to listen to it. Like, it's not like I don't care what religion you are, what God you worship, and all this kind of stuff. If you believe that there is a higher power that's based off of and the right thing, then you have to have faith in that. And if you don't have faith in what you're doing, then like all falls apart. Your why is null and void. And if you feel like you need to see it or somebody needs to prove to you something to have faith in it, that's not faith.
That's right.
Seeing's not believing.
And then the last part of that armor of God, it finishes it up. And this is where I think, all those things are things that protect, right? It's armor, it's shields, it's all this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question of should you defend or should you attack, the last piece of the armor that it talks about is the sword of the Spirit, which is the word. We attack, we fight is the Bible and the Word of God, the principles and precepts of truth that we can have. So absolutely there's times where we have to swing the sword, where we have to stand for what's right, where we have to fight back against things that are trying to attack us. The majority of the armor of God is just for protection. Mm-hmm. And then there's one piece of that isn't mentioned. All of that is there is no protection on your back. There is nothing.
Rely on your brother.
Is because we trust that God's got our back.
Or our Father.
And that He's back there. And He's going to protect us. And He's going to guide us forward. And we're not meant to turn and run. We're meant to stand or go forward. We're meant to believe in what we believe in, be true to who we are, to not turn tail and run. So the answer is yes to both of those things. Sometimes we're going to defend. Sometimes we're going to attack. But we're never going to run. And we're never going to go away.
That's awesome.
That's my take.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I already did mine. UFA.
No, man, I think it's good. I think it was a good show.
That was good.
I know we went a little long, but
no, I think it was needed. Sometimes you gotta sit in it.
I know we have a lot of references in our show about the Bible, and by no means any kind of Bible scholar. I just think there's some really cool.
Well, look, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying I do believe it, and I do think there are some great passages in there.
Look, if there was somebody sitting here giving me giving me something good out of the Quran, I'd listen to it. Like, I mean,
well, okay, well, we're gonna go on. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother story, but
yeah.
we'll talk about that later. But anyway, Anyway, I guess that's it. I'm tapping out. That's good.
My bad, FA.
No, that's fine. You wrecked me on that one, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Hey, guys, we love y'all. We appreciate you tuning in, and we're going to see you on Wednesday. So be sure to tune back in to Cam and the Rev, and then there's Jeff.